everybody. I hope you guys are well that side. As always, it's your boy. And today, my side, it's a Sunday, right? We live in different parts of the world. Perhaps your side, it's a Tuesday or something like that. But as I was sitting down today, actually, I took a walk listening to an audio Bible, like Proverbs, it was an audio. And, well, to some degree, it just came to me that, perhaps we should also get lives on every Sunday whereby we talk about the Bible, talk about spirituality, right? As you know, that as men, we are supposed to be holistic, we're supposed to be, developed in all areas of lives, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, right? So today, as I was listening to the Bible, I just got the inspiration that, what, let me share this actually. And in sharing it, then the birth of us having to have lives every Sunday. So I'll make it an effort to just have a live with you guys for at least 10 to 20, 30 minutes every Sunday in order for us to just grow and develop or just discuss the Bible. Excuse me. So today I wanted to talk about this burning topic, right? And I say it's a burning topic because in today's society, okay, I just hope that the noise outside is not distracting and you guys can hear me perfectly. So as I was saying, the noise outside, it's okay. Let me. Um, okay, I was thinking about something, but then it's fine. We'll just discuss to here, and then just in case the audio here is bad, I'll then use my microphone because right now I'm not using my microphone. It's just the phone, like the phone's mic that I'm using. So the reason why I chose this topic, as I was saying, is because this is something that today's society or our generation seems to be struggling with or battling the most with, right? I don't think there was any time in history whereby a lot of young men faced the different kinds of temptations that we as a generation face today. Not only from being exposed to the type of content that's out there, which is in of itself tempting, and also just interacting with people who also reveal. It's just even something for me to discuss it, right? You find yourself in a position where even when you observe people, you can see that there's just something about them, right? Ladies these days, they just wear whatever it is that they want, and there's no longer that sense of respect in society. But yeah, just an introductory part about that. But what I want to talk about, as I've said, is the book of Proverbs and what it says or touches about immorality and all those things. So, the first chapter I have here is chapter 5, verses 3 up until 8. And I'm going to be reading it from the King James Version. So, it goes like this. From verse 3, it says, actually, no, let me start it from verse 1 since it's like verse 3. It says, "My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding." Right? That's just an instruction. Attend unto wisdom, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. Pure, that's it. And then it starts in verse 3. It says, "For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil." And then it goes forward, it says, "But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword." And then then it stops there. So I just want to now sort of interpret that or just extract what it's saying there. And from here, it talks about a woman, right? But this is not necessarily just only from a female's perspective. Even us as gents, I would say that this applies to us as well. For if you are a strange man, then your lips will also drop as an honeycomb because you will be there trying to manipulate or actually persuade the lady into committing the deed with you. So in interpreting it, it says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb. It just tells that Whenever someone is trying to sort of deceive you, whatever it is that they're going to be saying, it's going to be tempting in the largest degree of temptation, right? They're going to use those smooth words which are going to be directly attacking you as a man, that feeling of you as a man. And I'm talking about this. Well, let me just say, I also get tempted sometimes, and it takes so much for you to be able to redirect your attention into something that's good, into actually doing what the word says, because as human beings, we are beings of emotions, and whenever that emotion is triggered, then yeah. And that's one of the reasons why the Bible says flee, right? A lot of the times it talks about fleeing, which means you must escape, put yourself away from whatever temptation, from whatever situation it is that you know that's going to be tempting. And then it goes further and says, her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. That is just profound. That is just huge, right? It says her feet go down to death. And as I've said, these can also apply to men as well, for you ladies out there. If there's a man who is like that, then you know that his feet go down to death. I don't know if you need any more than that, but for me, that's just a lot. Imagine now interacting with a person, knowing very well that they are dragging you to death, right? And it says, her steps take hold on hell. I don't know, but that's just enough for me. And verse 6 says, lest thou shouldest ponder the paths of life. Her ways are movable, and thou cannot, yea, and thou canst not know them. Right? Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life. Her ways are movable. Okay, yeah. This is a lot. That's a lot of old English. Let me just check this version out. Yeah. Oh, it's been a while since I've read KJV. Yeah. But then I'm glad because that's where I started, and it really drastically improved my vocabulary. Okay, and in verse 6, I think it's this the NIV, it says, she does not ponder the paths of life, her ways wander, and she does not know it. Yeah, just saying that the person who is doing those funny things, I'm going to call them funny things, right? The woman that the Bible is talking about here is saying that she does not know the path of life, right? Her ways are movable, which means she's someone who's just wandering around. And as I've said, it can apply to gents as well, which means the person we're talking about is just a man who does not know where he's headed. Excuse me. And then in verse 7 it says, hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. That also is just an instruction as well, to say, pay attention to what is being said here. And then lastly in verse 8 it says, remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. Right? And then that's the instruction to say, flee, run away. Do not come close to the situation whereby you're going to be tempted. For here, it seems as if the Bible knows that we are human beings, right? The Bible was inspired by God, and God knows how He designed us. And now the instruction says, remove thy way from her. It's not saying use your willpower or use whatever tactic it is that you know that helps you to not get tempted. It says, remove thy way from her, and come not nigh the door of the house. Do not even dare think about coming close to the door of this person's house, because the Bible knows that you are a human being as well as I am, and we are going to be tempted. And as human beings, we are beings of emotions. Therefore, if you find yourself in a situation where you're interacting with this person here like this, there's a high chance that you, with your willpower, will fail. Therefore, remove that way from her. All right. Okay, just got a message here from Nighton. Said hi. I'm gonna say hi back, Nighton. Hope you're good that side. Thank you so much for tuning in. And then I'm gonna jump to the next chapter. It's chapter 6, all right, verses 24 until 26. And I don't really much like this jumping up and down, because I believe that the Bible makes more sense when you read it from the start until the end, right? From the first verse until the last verse of a chapter. That way it makes solid sense. And now in chapter 6, verses 24, the topic it also says beware of adultery, which means you are having any type of sexual activity with a person that is married and you are not married, or just any sexual activity with a person who's married, right? That's what I believe to be adultery. And also which addresses this issue of us as a generation sleeping around and all that, because it talks about adultery, and adultery specifically addresses that, right? And the issue, I mean, and the reason, one of the reasons why we have an issue with this is because, as we all know, from the very start, it's a battle against good and evil. And I'm not going to sit here and say that living by what the Bible says is simple. It's hard. It's hard because not only are you seeing other people do those other funny things, but as a human being, you are a social being, which means you also want to belong, right? And I know that also you might have a group of people who are also driven or who are actually growing their faith, which means then you belong to that type of group. But they are, it's more of like there is a strong push from the evil side against against the good, because that's what is happening, right? So it is honestly difficult. But hey, I just hope that as time goes, as we invest in our faith, we'll be able to overcome it. I don't want to talk much about myself right now, but let's just start with verses 24 of KJV again. Okay. I've also received the text here. I believe this is Arabic. This writing, because yeah, I've seen Arabic once again, and it says JMR. I'm not sure if this is the name of you, but I see a heart that's bandaged there. Just appreciate you for tuning in, right? And if I remember correctly from my studying of Arabic, how can I translate this? I can't. Okay, but I'll just take it as you're saying hi. So, hi and marhaban in Arabic. I believe I remember it being said like that. Marhaban or assalamu alaikum. Right? Okay, and then in verses 24 it says, okay, in verse 24 is just a continuation. So let's start it from verse 23. It says, for the commandment is a lamp, right? And the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So that there was just an introduction. And then it further says, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. There, solid and straightforward. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of the strange woman. Because, again, they're going to be using flattery, right? As a human being, as I've said initially, you are an emotional being. So with words, that's how we get lied upon. That's how we get deceived. That's how we get tricked, right? So you have to have the commandment as a lamp and the law as a light, and reproofs of instruction being the way of life, in order for you to be able to discern where you're headed now. It's not necessarily good for you. Okay. Excuse me. And then it says in verse 25, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. Okay, as I've said in the introduction, that these days it's more of like there's a direct attack on us human beings. And once again, I'm not saying that this is all on women, which means that they are the ones who are in the wrong. Us as gents as well, we are wrong for this as well. We are guilty of this. But here the Bible was just written from a female perspective. It says, lust not after her beauty in thine heart. I guess we've almost all of us have been there, right? You see a woman, and just another thing that I want to highlight, it's not wrong for you to acknowledge beauty, right? I mean, it's almost the same as you saying, how do I even put this? Say, for example, a flower, right? You see a flower that's gorgeous. I mean, it's pretty. Of course, you're going to acknowledge that. And there are people who are beautiful out there. Actually, as God's creation, we are all beautiful. Let me put it that way. It's not a sin or it's not wrong for you to acknowledge that part. But it says, "Lust not after her beauty in thine heart." Well, let me just do this. Let's just look up what the meaning of lust is. Alright? It says strong sexual desire, and it also says have strong sexual desire for someone. So that's what the Bible is discouraging against. It's not a sin for you to acknowledge beauty, but the issue is when you lust, right? Okay, sorry about that. And then it says, "Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with the eyelids." Just that. And then in verses 26 it says, "For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life." Right? Is brought to a man, for by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and adulterers will hunt for the precious life. Okay, let me just get a simplified version so that we can quickly get the meaning behind that, and we can further interpret it. But it just talks about the fact that an immoral woman can be bought at a cheaper price, but then a man who goes with her, then he is sort of risking his life. But then, yeah, it says, "For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread," right? That cheap price. "But a married woman hunts down a precious life," which says again that you, as a man, now going to sleep with a married woman, that is something that is, it's almost as if your life is being hunted, right? It says, "The adulteress will hunt for the precious life." The adulteress is a married woman, right? Adulteress. It's the feminine version of adulterer. Okay, adulterer is the man, and then adulteress. If yeah. But then there. Okay. And let me just extend it. And then it says in verses 27, it says, "Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned?" As a question. There is no way that you can take fire in your chest and then not get burned. Which means you, by going around and sleeping with a married woman, you are actually doing that to yourself. In verses 28, it then says, "Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not get burned?" Once again, you cannot walk on coal and not get burned. That's just nonsense. And then it further says in verse 29, "So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent." And then it's sort of comparing that you putting coal or fire into your chest, you will get burned. By the very same way, if you go into your neighbor's wife and touch her, you will not be innocent. Right? Okay. Now let me just quickly read this, and then I won't interpret it, but for you guys to just sort of get the message behind. And then it says, "Men do not despise a thief," which means you don't hate a thief. "If he steals, do not despise. If he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry," right? "But if he is found, he shall restore sevenfold." If you stole, then you're going to repay 7 times what you stole. Even if you are stealing to eat. That's what the Bible says. Right? "He shall give all the substance of his house," which means that by you going on and doing whatever fun he did with a woman who is married, then you're going to have to repay by the substance of your house. So this was just a comparison that if a thief is found, even though he steals to eat, he will repay sevenfold, and also give all the substance of his house. I don't know if that's something that you think is worthy for you to suffer just for the sake of that 1 minute pleasure or something like that, but that's just not for me. And then it further says, but whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding, right? He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. Just that. In plain English, it says, if you sleep with a married woman, you lack understanding. You destroy your own soul. And now a wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. Which means you're going to get wounded, you're going to get dishonor, which is something also that we as adventurers or we as believers have to not be associated with, right? As a man or as a believer, you have to live a life of honor, right? Honoring yourself, your body, each and every person, and ultimately God. And also it says, your reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore, he will not spare in the day of vengeance, which means that the man of the married wife that you slept with is going to be jealous in anger, and he will not spare you in the day of vengeance. When it comes to take vengeance, he will not spare you. And it says, he will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. Which means, in as much as you may offer him millions, and as much as you may offer him whatever it is that he does not have and he's desperate to have, he will not regard that, because a man is now furious and he's jealous because you have slept with his wife, and then you are going to reap dishonor and wound. So once again, that's just the Bible warning us, right? Now let's go further to the next verse that I have, to the next chapter that I have for you guys. And just in case you have any questions or stuff like that, I'd appreciate you guys to pop them in. Let's just talk, because this is more or less us discussing, right? Us talking about this issue that's almost an attack to us as young men, right? And then in the chats, okay, this name, I'd say it's Russian, who says, yo, hi, appreciate you for joining in, for tuning in, rather. And then we have Bonkosi Muloy, who says, hola, how's it? Good. I'd say from Bonkosi as a name, and the hola, how's it, is a fellow brother. So hope you're good, brother. I appreciate you for tuning in. And yeah, okay, for now we have 2 chapters left, and then not necessarily whole chapters, but 2 variations of this topic that are left from Proverbs. And then I'll just go to the sort of ultimate different way of looking at it, also still from Proverbs, right? And there it's also just going to be addressing how you as a young man, or you as a man specifically, should be looking at this area of sexuality. Okay. Now we have chapter 7, verses 5 through to 27. Okay, which is almost all the chapter. Now it says, okay, it actually starts from 4 because it's a continuation. It says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. It's just also encouraging us to call unto wisdom, just seek wisdom, right? And knowledge. And then it further says that they may keep thee away from a strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. Okay, so it's telling us once again that we must seek wisdom. And it says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, which means that wisdom should be sort of your second nature, or actually first nature that exists, right? Because it's just an emphasis that's put there. As you know, a sister is someone who you live with almost every single day. And then it says, call understanding thy kinswoman. I'm not really sure what a kinswoman means, but kins, I know that it's someone who's close, and then it's more like a close lady by your side. So understanding must also be close to you at all times. Okay, and then there's a question, what's the content? Dog. Okay, yeah, that was saying dog there. Okay, what's the content? The content, yeah, just let me put it this way. So this is a live that is going to be there every Sunday, right? Just there for us to discuss anything concerning faith, spirituality, right? This channel is, it addresses sort of a broader range of what addresses a man's life, right? I'm someone who's passionate about fitness, so most of the things are about fitness, but I've seen that I don't really talk much about faith and spirituality, of which is also an important element in a man's life. So I decided that I'm going to have to host lives every Sunday and for us to just discuss the word, because you not only have to grow spiritually, but you physically, in terms of the gym and all that, but let's also invest in our spirituality. Right. Awesome. I see the reaction there. Appreciate it, Bonkosi. Okay. Oh, and your last name sort of has a direct translation to mine as well, so appreciate you. Okay, where was I? Right, yes, I was there. That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. And again, I just wanted to highlight there, whenever we address a lady, just know that it also applies to a man as well. If you are a lady listening to me right now, just know that a man can also flatter you with his words in order for you to sleep with him, knowing very well that he is married and he is committing adultery. Okay. Now, the topic of the sixth verse, it says, the crafty harlot. And then it says, for at the window of my house, I looked through my casement. So this is someone who's observing something. And beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. If that doesn't hit home, I don't know. It is specifically and directly towards youth. There's someone who's observing through the window, right? And then he's seeing that amongst the simple ones, right, there is a young man who's void of understanding. Let's just read further and hear what it says. It says, passing through the street near her corner. So there's this young man who's going through the street near her corner, which means there's a corner where there's a lady who's there, and then he is going towards her. And it says, and he went the way to her house. So this young man who lacks understanding is going to this woman's house. It says, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. That was the time when he was going there. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtile of heart. Subtle of heart, or subtle, or subtle. That's English there. Subtle of, okay, let me, before I look at it, let me just see what this version says. It's verse 10. It says, and behold, the woman meets him dressed as a prostitute, weally of heart, which means she has an intention, right? She's coming towards this young man who doesn't have understanding with an intent. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. She does not abide in her house. That should be enough to say. Now she is without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. So this is more or less the description of this woman that we're talking about here. And then it further says, so she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, impudent. Okay, I'd say that, let me just look up what impudent means, you guys. I don't wanna lie and say I know what it means, and as much as context speaks, but okay, it says not showing due respect for another person. It's impertinent, right? That's the other synonym. It's impertinent. It means this person is impertinent. So she went there without showing respect to this young man. Look, imagine now, okay, ladies, if you're out there, I apologize, I just want to address my fellow brothers now. Imagine, brother, you are standing there, and then a woman comes, beautiful, dressed in the most provocative way ever. She comes to you without even showing respect to you. It's evening time. She catches you kisses you, and with that lack of respect, she says, I have peace offerings with me. This day I have paid my vows. Therefore, come I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. Right? Now she's saying to you that, okay, I have peace offerings with me, which means that there's more or less a feast that was there in the house. Man, I came out looking for you, and here you are. I have found you. Right? She's telling you that I came out with the intention of looking for you, and now here you are. Given that context, tell me, how would you feel, or how would you react? You're already with the woman here next to you and all that. As I've said, humans are beings of emotions. Something will be triggered in you. Okay, it takes strong will, faith. There's a lot in order for you to be able to successfully escape that situation. As a man, we want to be perceived as people who have strong will, people who, we are stable, like we are grounded. If a woman comes and does all those things to you, if you turn away, your brain is going to say, but brother, she's going to think you're weak. And what is she going to say to other people about you, or perhaps to her friends? And then there's going to be another voice of you which going to say, nah, but I don't want to be perceived as a weakling and all that. You see, those array of thoughts, that's what's going to be happening in your head. So, okay, enough about that. Let's further say, she says, I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, and with fine linen from Egypt. Of Egypt. So this is just giving you the context of the area or the environment that you're going to find yourself in. Okay, Egypt is known for its I'd say royal sense or something like that. So you're going to be royalty, you're going to be a king. Okay, if that's not persuasive enough, I don't know, but that's her aim here. She says, I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us solace ourselves with love. Okay, there. This woman is married, but then she's inviting you to sleep with her. And then it further says, For the good man is not at home, he has gone a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him and will come home at the day appointed. Which means that her husband is not in the house. He's gone, took a bag of money, and is gone on a long journey, which means you, my brother, in that context, you have all the time you need. Okay. And the man won't be coming back home at the day appointed. Of which I wouldn't say is something that you would just believe just like that, because as we all know, we are anticipating the return of the Lord, and as the Bible says, that day will be as a thief, right? Cometh to break unto your house. You don't know which day is appointed for the thief to come back and just break into your house, but it just happens randomly. So here perhaps this man is that reliable guy which says, if I'm going to be back on the 25th, I'm going to be back on the 25th. That's just that. But once again, things happen, and he could just be back at any time. And who knows what could happen if he comes back. But cool. And then it says here, the Bible says now, this is no longer from the context of the lady. The lady has done a speech. Now this is the Bible explaining to us, or that man who was observing this young man who doesn't have understanding. It says, with her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. Poor young man. It means that he wasn't really willing, but with the flattering of her mouth or lips, she forced him. Okay? Which is why the Bible says, flee, which means run. Alright. But chill. He goeth after her straight away. Now she's leading her. As an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks. Now, this young man followed the lady, as an ox goeth to slaughter, as an ox goes. Right? Now that's just the Bible telling us what happens when you yield. Now it says, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Further, it says that him following her was just him sort of going towards the snare, of which was going to be capturing his life. So it says, hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Pay attention. Let not thy heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. And there it says, let not thine heart decline to her ways. Decline, that's you're rejecting something. Okay. So I don't get what the Bible means there, but then it's just further saying, do not go astray in her paths. Do not follow that type of a person. Be it a woman, be it a man. Okay. And there's this part also where it talks about bread eaten in secret is sweet, and hopefully I'll find that, and then you'll be able to see it as well, because it says eaten in secret, which means whatever you guys are doing is not right, because whatever it is that is done in secret, we know that it's something that's not intended to be known in public, and if it's not intended to be known in public, then it's immoral or it's just wrong. Okay, so I just want to read this simplified version. It says, let not your heart turn aside to her ways, do not stray into her paths. Just that, right? For she hath cast down many wounded. So it means there's a lot. You are not the first and you're not the last. She has cast down many wounded, or he has cast down many wounded. So ladies, also pay attention. Yes, many strong men have been slain by her. Strong men, many, not just 2, 3, many. Okay, her house is the way to hell. Strong statement. Going down to the chambers of death. So if you follow, you're done for. Unfortunately, we're gonna be attending the funeral of your soul, right? It's painful, but that's just what the Bible says. And then here it says, key point, her path leads to death and hell. Do not even approach her. Okay. Talking about discernment, be a man who's observant, or be a person who's observant. If you can see that the ways of this person are not straight, then just run, according to me, or according to my interpretation. Just run. The Bible just says, do not even approach her. Okay. Now, Proverbs 22 verses 14, it says, okay, this one I'm going to be reading it from the simplified version. It says, 22 verses 14. It says, the mouth of a forbidden woman is a deep pit. He with whom the Lord is angry will fall into it. Which means, if God is angry with you, then you're going to fall into the pit of that strange woman. Okay, so then, which means that actually we must make sure that we align our ways with the Lord, so that He is not angry with us, in order for us to protect ourselves from the deep pit of a strange person. Okay. Then I said I wanted to also address this other verse with you guys, which sort of talks about how we can sort of go about this, but not necessarily directly, but I just like this chapter, right? It's chapter 5. I'll take it from verse 15. Okay, from a simplified version it says, drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Okay, from your own, which says that if you are a man, Okay, this is how I'm gonna interpret it. Or if you're a person, have your own husband, have your own wife, right? Drink water from your own cistern. Let that person who you're married with satisfy you. Now, do not go around looking for others, or let it be your own. Do not drink from others' wells. Okay. All right. It says, should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? That's phrased as a question. Just let thy fountains be dispersed abroad and rivers of water in the streets. Okay, I'm not pretty sure what that means, but then it further says, let them be only thine own and not strangers with thee. Right? If a woman be your wife, let it be your wife alone. If the opposite is the case as well, let him be your husband alone, not with other folks. Okay. It says, let thy fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Okay, that's another one that I like there. The wife of thy youth, which means the woman whom you have married. Rejoice with her. Right? There's just something awesome about, love, a man and a lady who are married. Right? I'm not married myself as yet. Yeah. Looking forward to it it's at some point in my life, but there, let thy fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Pure, just like that. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breasts satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. How beautiful. It says here in the simplified version, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Okay. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman and embrace the bosom of an adulteress? Question mark. Why? Why is it that you have to go out there seeking for a woman who is married, although you already have your wife? Or you can actually just shy away from all that. Why? That's the Bible questioning. Why? Why is it that you have to be intoxicated with a forbidden woman and embrace the bosom of an adulteress or an adulterer if you are a lady? Why? Is it worth it? Remember, if you carry fire in your chest, you will get burned. By the very same token, why should you go towards a path that you know that is going to get you burned? Do you really want to get cooked up bad? I don't know. I don't know. But hey, just thought I should share this with you guys. Found it interesting and I was like, you know what? This I have to share with you guys. I've been talking for 45 minutes. That's crazy. But I guess that's just how passionate I was or I am with this topic. So I hope you guys found it useful, insightful. And if there's anything, just drop it there in the comments. Right? I appreciate those of you who were able to tune in. And until then, you guys, may you stay blessed, stay strong, in faith, and as always, stay vibrant.